they're the overseas. So yeah, no, you're stuffed because
Hello and welcome back to the Cricket Nerds podcast. I am James. Very excited for this podcast. It's finally happening. We've tried so many times to record, and we've been a bit village, really. So I'm joined by Benji. How are you doing, mate?
Great. I'm great that now Zach's fixed his village internet.
And Zach, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm just a bit wary of the fact that we're going to have to record this in about 5 different chunks.
Well, we'll do with the best with what we've got. So today we're going to be talking about Royal Challengers Bangalore, how they did in the auction, and how they're going to do in the IPL. So we're going to obviously go for Zach because this is his favourite team. So Zach, what's your thought? What's your thinks? What are your thoughts
My
on RCB?
Right, let's see how this goes. So in sport, there are always those teams that are always they just win all the time, every year. So you've got your Man City and Chelsea, you've got your Real Madrid and Barcelona, and you've got your Chennai Super Kings and your Mumbai Indians. They win all the time. And then there's just that one team, usually dressed in red, who's there or thereabouts, that they never quite win it. They always have a very good team. They've always got lots of potential, but they never quite win it. And then there's just one year where everything comes together, smash it out of the park. This year is not that year for Royal Challengers Bangalore. I do think they have a very good team. They've got some very good bowlers. In Harshal Patel, Siraj and Hazelwood, I think they've got one of the best teams in terms of fast bowling strength. And they've got players to back it up as well. They've got the replacements in David Willey and Jason Behrendorff. However, I think there's something missing. I think it's batting related. I think they've got some very good, solid, experienced batsmen, but there's just some bit of excitement missing. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that.
I'm happy to come back on that. So if we look at RCB, today, as of recording, they announced that Faf du Plessis is going to be the captain. So he will be opening with... Who will he be opening with?
Probably Anuj Rawat.
Anuj Rawat, who's an uncapped Indian. He's got all right, like T20 stats and things. So he could be an interesting prospect. You'll probably have Kohli at 3, Maxwell at 4. And then who are we looking at? Mahipal Lomror, maybe at 5, who's somewhat of a known commodity. Then you've got Dinesh Karthik at 6, who will be your wicket keeper. And then Shahbaz Ahmed and Wanindu Hasaranga. That's kind of where your batting stops. Or Harshal Patel can swing a bat around.
Decent.
So you've got, I agree. You've got something there with the batting where you kind of feel like a bit missing. Obviously, some astounding players. And if your top 3 play well, then you'll likely win all your games because like you said, you've got very strong bowlers. But it kind of looks like a lot of your players can bat. Like you bat to about 9, I think. But it's kind of a long tail. Like you know, when you bat long, when you've got like people that you can bat deep, it's good as long as those players sort of at the end, like from sort of Shahbaz Ahmed and later, or Dinesh Karthik and later, they're only coming in around the 16th, 17th overs because they're the kind of people that they can slash it around, and you know, if it's there in their arc, they'll put it away for 6. But you don't have players there that can hunker down and just say, look, you know, this is not going anywhere. And that batting kind of stops after Maxwell if Karthik's not in form. So I agree. You've got some very good players there. It'll be interesting to see how they do. I don't know what your thoughts are, Benj.
I agree with everything that you've said. I think there is just something missing in RCB, but I think maybe a long shot shout. But I think Finn Allen might find he's used quite a lot this year because he can sort of do that number 3, number 4 role that the team appeared to be missing. So if you don't play Jason Beradorf and Josh Hazelwood together and use Hazelwood, Maxwell. Oh, I forgot about Faf du Plessis. So he just won't play, will he? Because Hazelwood,
Yeah, I don't think you can fit him
Maxwell,
in.
du Plessis, and Hasaranga, they're the overseas. So you're stuffed because Finn Allen could fit that mold. I think Faf du Plessis, he's been a beast in the IPL for many years. As a Chennai fan, I'm very sorry to see him leave the Super Kings. Seeing that video of RCB Wizards saying, "Let's go for Faf, they'll never expect it," has crushed me a little bit. But I think in the same way that this year, Devdutt Padikal's left RCB, I think that's a similar thing with Faf going to RCB, and that they've now trusted him with the captaincy. I think that number 3, number 4 spot is probably missing, because I think the top 3, 4 will include Faf, Kohli, and Maxwell in some order. I actually think Hasaranga might be up the order. I'd say maybe you'll see Hasaranga coming in sort of number 5 with like a Dinesh Karthik at 6, and then actually you can play maybe an extra bowler, so Harshal Patel, Siraj, and maybe Siddharth Kaul, because Siddharth Kaul had a decent year for Sunrisers last year. Actually put an extra seamer in there as well, because you've got that options of Hasaranga and Glenn Maxwell. I think the first 11 are going to be really good, but they have some real names. But as you both say, there is just that little bit that's missing there, isn't there?
Don't get me wrong. I think that if you look at RCB's think tank, Mike Hesson is a very clever man, and he's done lots of research into how he wants his team to operate and how he wants them to perform. And I think when you look at the team last year and you compare the team from last year and the team from this year, last year we had AB de Villiers, and you look at the team, you look at Kohli, de Villiers, Maxwell, and you're like, man, that is a middle order that any team's going to be envious of, especially if Kohli's in form, and de Villiers and Maxwell are always going to perform. And I think when you look at the players that come afterwards, Royal Challengers, lower middle order to finishers, are actually a lot stronger this year than they were last year. But I think, and we still had a good enough team to get through to the playoffs, because Hasaranga, he's a very good all-rounder, and we've paid a lot of money for him, and we'll probably see him play a lot. I think the thing for Royal Challengers is getting that right balance, because let's say they lose impetus at the top of the order because du Plessis, Virat Kohli, Maxwell, they might take their time a bit, and that might be something that we need to address. And then you've got players like Finn Allen who can come in, and you can potentially swap Hasaranga for Siddharth Kaul. Obviously, Hasaranga, that would be a blow for the lower order. But when you've got players like Harshal Patel and Dinesh Karthik, if they're firing down the order, then you almost don't need a third finisher, I guess. So they have enough replacements. I think their replacements is one of their strengths, except for maybe they're a few batsmen. They've got quite a lot of young Indian batsmen. I would say in terms of the balance and getting the right balance each game, I think that's one of their strengths. It's just whether they've got enough impetus at the top of the order. They've got enough star quality.
I think one thing that might actually help with that potentially is if David Willey can get fit in somewhere into that setup. Like, we know that David Willey can bat. We've seen that in the 100. We've seen that over and over again. He can hold a bat. And, he's great at the start of the innings for 2-3 overs where he swings the ball around corners. So actually, there might be a bit of fill in for your missing link there. If somehow David Willey can get fit into to that setup. It's just really difficult to get a player like David Willey in when you've got Hasaranga, Maxwell, du Plessis, and Hazelwood. Like, those 4 names just overshadow. So sorry, James, what were you saying?
I was going to say, you're definitely right to raise the impetus at the top of the innings, because you've got Faf, who quite often will start slowly. you've got Kohli, who starts slowly, and you've got Anuj Rawat, who I've never heard of, probably will go out early at the start of the season. So, you know, it could be that you don't have people that, you know, are going to go, and you could waste power plays there. So hopefully you don't. And like you say, if, you know, it's very easy to be quite negative because, you know, we're picking at tiny little things here, but overall it's a very, very strong squad. RCB could definitely win the IPL if their players fire. You've got a few inconsistent players there. I'm thinking specifically of like Dinesh Karthik. You know, there's only one Karthik I believe in, and that's Karthik Goyal, who commented on the Punjab Kings video, and he's a fellow Punjab supporter. I just want to give him a huge shout out on this video. Karthik, you've made my day. So yeah, I think if your players fire, that you'll have no problems, but it'll only take, you know, 2 players to be out of form for Mike Hesson to be scratching his head thinking, have I been a bit too big brain with this?
Yeah, I think going back to Dinesh Karthik, that is a big move. I think it's a risk picking Karthik because he's not been in form, and part of the reason for that is probably due to the fact that he's not had a key role. Like when he was picked up by Kolkata Knight Riders after he had a brief stint at Royal Challengers, I think he had a season at Royal Challengers, he was picked as an opener for Kolkata Knight Riders and had a pretty decent season. And then they used him further down the order, and then he was a bit messed around. And I think one of the things that like with Harshal Patel last season, he was playing a different role for Delhi Capitals. Mike Hesson saw him and was like, no, this is the role that he needs to play in to perform. And he did. He was a top wicket taker. He might have thought a similar thing about Dinesh Karthik. Dinesh Karthik, he's got experience. If we tell him, this is your role, he might have an outstanding season as a finisher for Royal Challengers. And hopefully he does. I want him to do it. So time will tell, really. But yeah.
Brilliant. I think that's a great place to end. So thank you very much for watching. We've really enjoyed doing this. Please subscribe. We're motoring through. We're going to hit 100 subscribers soon with your help. So please do subscribe. Give us a like and comment below. What do you think of what we've said? Do you agree? And do you disagree? What's the best RCB 11? You know, we're all ears to any comments. So we'll see you guys later.
Wait. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter and all those things as well.
I always forget that. Yes, at Cricket Nerds Pod. Please follow us on all social medias. So yeah, we will catch you guys on Flippity Flip.